those points. We're not seeking to conquer anyone. That's not our business. As another California immigrant, Charlie Chaplin, said in the speech he gave at the tail end of The Great Dictator. Okay, that is not our business. We don't want to rule over or conquer anyone. That's what the Yankees do. That's what they did to us, and that's what they're trying to do all over the world. We want no part of that. We want good relations with as many countries as possible. We want to reopen the Russian consulate as an embassy. We want to convert the other consulates into embassies. And we want to establish embassies in their countries. That's going to take time. There's no shortcut to that. A shortcut was taken, and it didn't work out very well. And the person who took it is kind of, persona non grata in the movement, and was really laughed at in Russia. But what we can do is we can represent to those who already have missions to California that, hey, we want out. We want out of the U.S. We're not going to do to you what the Yankees are trying to do. We're not going to start no trade wars. We're going to back out of the trade wars. We're not going to kick your representatives to the curb. Okay. We're going to welcome them. And if the representatives of certain other governments have a problem with that, that's their headache. Okay. That's their problem. Mm-hmm. We've always, when we first presented to the world our independence, the flag that was proposed, upon which the state flag is loosely based, has a red star of liberation superimposed on a white flag of peace. That's always been us. We've always been about peace and liberation. That's one of the many reasons I fly that flag in preference to the settler flag, which is of the free state of California. I'd be misrepresenting as somehow representing that free state government. Irish know what I mean when I'm talking about free state. Mm-hmm. Okay, that was the counterfeit that first declared autonomy from the UK. That was the original statement. The Irish Free State that ended the war between Britain and Ireland. And unfortunately, a civil war immediately broke out because there were a lot of Irish that said, that's not what we fought for. We do not want to represent ourselves as being any part of the government of the U.S. state of California. Okay, we're not. We are the California Republic, free, independent, sovereign, mm-hmm. and plurinational. Okay. And we are going to be on our authentic Independence Day, 4th of November, holding a consultation that asks about that, asks our people about that. It has nothing to do with anything with the U.S. state of California. They have lots of bells and whistles you've got to do to get an initiative on the ballot, and various organizations in our movement have been trying to do that, and they're going to keep on trying. Kudos to them. Kudos to them for persisting in trying to get California independence on the ballot. But meanwhile, what we're also doing in parallel with that is our own consultation. Asking if California should safeguard all human rights, should safeguard our national environment. If, as a plurinational republic, we should return public lands to indigenous Californians, and of course, ask about independence. So 4th of November, the file, I'm circulating the file, and then, you can print up as many as you want, and then go out there with a cardboard ballot box, like the Zapatistas did, like the Catalans did. I went, looking for, a urna de cartón, a cardboard ballot box on Giggle. And I found a picture of the ones they use in Catalonia, and surprise, surprise, it looks just like the Zapatista one. It's a cardboard box with a slot cut out on the top, and then, you have a transparency so people can see that you're not coming to the polling place you're setting up with a stuffed ballot box, which is a common abuse in South American and Mexican politics. Mm-hmm. They come there and the ballot boxes are already stuffed. That's how the PRI got itself elected time after time. Mm-hmm. So when the Zapatistas, it was their turn to do a consulta, they had their cardboard boxes, but a side cut out and said, look, see, it's empty now. Here are the ballots. Here's the box. Okay, right. You put the pages in the box. Okay, we're not going to put them in for you. We're not going to stuff the box.
Right. All right. So Californians who want to do yourselves a favor and push a little more to see about starting the conversation about Nation of California becoming a real thing, and about our being able from there to be a more inclusive style of government, a more realistic style of government. This is what you should be doing. You should be thinking about just taking a ballot box into wherever you're going to be when you're going to be in a public place for a day at some sort of fair or whatever, and setting it up and putting these little ballots by it, with just 2 poll questions, yes or no. It's very simple. Yes, I want to be, or no, I don't want to be an independent nation of California. And have that in English on one side and Spanish on the other, and you're good to go.
Yeah. The latest one with the 4 questions, I believe I've circulated. The first question is on protecting human rights. Second, on the protecting environments. The third is on returning public lands to Indigenous Californians, and the fourth is on independence. Okay, this is even more closely patterned after the Zapatista consulta in which I participated. Mm-hmm. So, remember the 4th of November. Let's make it a 4th that will never be forgot.
Absolutely. So let's see. We've got about half an hour, Matt. Where would you like to go from here?
Oh, golly. Well, I pretty much talked about what I wanted to talk about. What you got going?
Let's see. Well, I've reminded people about the 8th on Alcatraz, and look that up, folks. I will attach it somehow to the show as well, the information, so that when you come to Spreaker to click on my show, you will see it in the description, as well as Matt's name. And I'll work on that very carefully and make sure all the information gets out to you. And also keep in mind that I have started publishing a newsletter for CalConCon recently. I'm still working on the 2nd edition of that newsletter. But if you would like to opt in, please feel free to go to calconcon.com and opt into that newsletter, and we'll get one out to you. It'll go out to you automatically once you opt in. You can always opt out later if you want to. Let's see, keep your eye on that newsletter, because that newsletter, I like to fill it with really interesting and fun links that you can go to and see who people are and where they're coming from. And there's also an essay link in one of them, and Matt Evans Ruiz wrote this essay, and he really illustrated it beautifully. It's very easy reading, and it talks all about how in our efforts along the way to become a new nation of California, we want to plan to give federal land back to, and Matt knows all about this, we want to plan to give our federal lands back to our Indigenous peoples. And that would entail losing nothing. It would entail a lot of gain for us because these are people who knew what they were doing before we came along and took their land away from them. They knew about sustainable farming practices, the why and the wherefore of sustainable farming practices, and they benefited by using great care in farming the land and in being good servitors to the land. And Matt and I talked a lot about that in our last show too. So we want to give that land back to them, and it's land that we're not living on. And Marcus goes very much into how we'd never miss that land and why, because we're not living on it or doing anything with it except enjoying it as a natural resource and what would be done with it next and all that sort of thing. So there is a link to his essay in my second newsletter and also in one of my blog posts. So please have a look for my blog posts. I'm on Medium, and I'm also on Blogspot through my Joyful Wellness site. It's called joyfulwellness.org. I am a health coach in my private practice, and I happen to see a lot of overlap between my private practice and my activist life because I know that California is just going to be a much happier and healthier nation when she is a nation of her own. And I see all the correlations. I can give you all the details, and I've been doing that. I've been trying to do that through this show, using the voices of my expert guest speakers, and they are experts in their fields. Matt, how long, please, have you been studying the situation near you?
Oh, golly. Well, the situation near me has been studying me, so I've had to pay attention to that.
Can you tell us, please, your where your expertise is based, what drew you in, and what researches you've done?
Well, okay, my MA is in political science. My bachelor's are in computer science, which I wasn't very good, and economics, in which I actually wrote a book, Capitalism versus Economic Democracy. Okay, I've been a socialist all my adult life. And so it really piqued my interest when the new administration, when Trump assumed the office of the presidency, it caused such a wave of revulsion in California that now 1/3 of us are ready to leave the U.S. And that's an astonishing uptick from what the very little interest was shown before that. Now it's become a real movement. There are as many people in favor of us leaving as there are opposed, and the other third is the ones we're trying to convince, both sides. That's a very important milestone in politics when you go from being a fringe to being a real movement. And the reason we did that is because in the U.S., fascists, racists have gone from being a fringe to being a force to be reckoned with.
They're now the ruling body.
Yeah. They have a president they feel represents them. Mm-hmm. They love the guy.
Yeah, he's really
bolden.
He's
They're coming out of the woodwork.
That's right. He's given them license to crawl out from under their rocks and do and say in public what they used to not feel safe doing and saying in public.
Mm-hmm.
This is why I was so proud of my country of the United States. I used to think, since I couldn't see it, that it simply wasn't there. I thought we had progressed, for the most part, far, far beyond our ignorance that gives birth to such hateful bigotry and small-mindedness. And I was so proud of the U.S. for this progress. And now I see that, the bigotry and ignorance never really went away. It just hit